This one's for chocolate lovers. Do you want to try the best brownies you've ever had? Stay tuned. Hi everyone, welcome to Cooking with Chef Rich. Today I have something a little special for you. I'm going to share my very coveted brownie recipe. I've been making these brownies for probably 20 years. Everyone tells me they're some of the best brownies they've ever had. So I'm actually going to be sharing my recipe today. It uses both milk and dark chocolate. A lot of brownies have a very thick layer of like chocolate icing on top. Mine actually have a layer of ganache, so it's not as high in fat as other brownie recipes. There is some fat in here, don't misunderstand me, but they're just a really nice chocolatey brownie. I have some unsalted butter, some dark chocolate, sugar, eggs, vanilla, flour, salt and baking powder, milk chocolate, and sour cream. And later on, I'm going to be doing the ganache topping, and that's another set of ingredients, so we'll cover that later on. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to put our butter in a double boiler. I always melt my butter first, and once that's melted, then I add the chocolate. Reason being is the heat from the boiling water can actually scorch the chocolate. So once the butter's melted, it kind of gives it a little bit of a base so you don't burn your chocolate. So this I'm just going to set aside. And while that's going, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take our sugar and our baking powder and we're going to mix it in with our flour. And I always give this just a little bit of a mix. And next thing we're going to do is we're going to take our sugar and our eggs and we're going to cream this together with a flat paddle until it gets thick and like a pale yellow color. And that's going to take a couple minutes. So that's actually pretty good. One thing really important, you have to put your oven on 350 degrees for this if you're gonna attempt this at home. And our butter is totally melted. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add our chocolate to this. And this should melt relatively quickly. Just gonna keep turning it until it melts. Should be just literally a minute or two. And that's actually, it's like 98% melted. We're gonna put this back up to mix for a couple seconds. And now what we're going to do is we're going to add our chocolate mix. Be very careful, the bowl is like very hot after it comes off this. We're going to turn this on and we're going to add our chocolate mix slowly. Once you have all the ingredients prepped, it's actually very quick to make. Flour, baking powder, and salt. And we're gonna add our sour cream. So I actually buy 11-pound bars of chocolate. So this is just chopped milk chocolate. You can buy milk chocolate chips, and this is milk chocolate. You can buy milk chocolate chips and use that, and that works just as well. So we're gonna just put that in. This is a half pan. I have sprayed it very well with a cooking spray. Just gonna level it out a little bit. And we're going to throw it in our oven, which is now hot. You can tell by the beeping. And I'm not even going to guess how long this is going to take, but I'll show you what it looks like in a while. See you shortly. So our brownies were in the oven for between 35 and 40 minutes, and they just came out. A toothpick, when you stick it in, comes out relatively clean, which is what you want. And like when you press on it, it's definitely firm. So I'm going to let this sit out and cool for probably about an hour and a half, and then we'll put our icing on. So our brownies are nice and cool, and now we're going to make the top for it, which is basically just a hard ganache. I have some heavy cream, which we're going to be bringing up to a boil. Just a half a cup of heavy cream. And we're going to get this going. Good. Put that on high. And next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this out. It should come out relatively easy. Is if you look very closely at it, over here it's like sunken and the edges are kind of raised. So I'm just going to kind of trim that. You'll notice that the knife is just flat up against the middle. That way when I cut up my brownie, it's nice and flat. So our cream is boiling now. And what we're going to do, just very simply, this is milk chocolate with some unsalted butter. We'll drop that in. We're going to give them a nice mix. Now, if you see that the whole thing is moving around like this, and it's kind of starting to break a little bit, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to heat that up a little bit. And I'm also going to add approximately 1 tablespoon of corn syrup. So I'm just going to keep stirring this. As the chocolate melts, obviously the chocolate was at room temperature before, and when you add it to the hot cream, the chocolate does melt, but what it does is the whole thing lowers in temperature, and that means it solidifies. By putting it back on the heat, it's going to get soft. You do have to stir this constantly for the reason that you don't want to burn your chocolate. Now you notice that when I move it, the whole thing doesn't move because it's a lot more liquidy. And now we can work with it. And what we're going to do is we're just going to pour this onto our brownies. A lot of brownies very often will have frosting on there. And the frosting tastes good. Not that I don't use frosting, I do use frosting sometimes. When I don't have to, just because of the amount of fat in there, I try to avoid it. And if you do try making this brownie at home, you will see that it doesn't need any more fat to make it rich. Alrighty. So I'm going to let this set for about 5 minutes and then we'll cut it up and I'll show you what it looks like. See you shortly. So in the end, I put this in the refrigerator just for a little while so the top would cool. My cameraman, David, actually mentioned to me, he's like, Rich, can you put walnuts in this? And by all means, you can take a cup of chopped walnuts and add it, obviously before you bake it, not after, and just mix it in at the end when you mix in the chocolate, and you'll have walnut brownies. I normally don't do that because as a caterer, a lot of people have nut allergies, so I kind of try to leave the nuts out. But by all means, you can definitely add walnuts to this. So I'm going to cut this up and I'll show you what it looks like in a few minutes. So I cut up our brownies and I put them on a plate. I actually have another plate this size. I got like twice this amount of brownies for my recipe, just to let you know. But anyway, I'm going to have to force myself to eat one of these. Trying to be nice about that. I probably shouldn't have put half the brownie in my mouth, but anyway, it was really, really, really good. Actually, 4 reallys, really, 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 really good. If you like chocolate, these are extremely rich. Really great brownie. If you like this video, please like, give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, please, and tell me what type of brownies you make. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you so much for watching and be safe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.